Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Midday News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle. President Goodluck Jonathan has sworn in 8 new ministers and handed them cabinet positions with just over 2 months to the end of his tenure. The brief ceremony took place in the council chambers of the presidential villa before the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. In his address, President Jonathan likened the newly appointed ministers to players injected into football team at critical points in the football game. He consequently announced Musili Obanikoro as Minister of State 2 for Foreign Affairs. Patricia Okwashiki Nasarawa State is to take charge of the Ministry of Information, while Jordan Lami Taraba State is new Minister of Labor and Productivity.
I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the federal government of Nigeria, and I will preserve, protect, and defend the institutions of the federal government of Nigeria.
First, let me, on behalf of the federal government, congratulate those of you who just took an oath of office this morning to join us to see how we will serve our nation. For the ministers, this is an injury time. It's like bringing in a player when you have just 5 minutes to go in a football match. So everybody wants to know what that player will do, the magic the player will perform within that short period. The player himself will be struggling to at least kick the ball before the end of the game. So you are coming in at a quite challenging period. I believe that a number of people will not envy you because government is coming to a close, but sometimes it's even good to come at this time because you are now well exposed to all Nigerians. Your dancing steps will be watched by everybody, and we believe that you will dance well.
Senator Patricia Okwashiki, Minister of Information. Dr. Nicholas Adam, Minister of Foreign Affairs 1. Colonel Justin Akubundo, Minister of State Defense. Engineer Dennis Wanko, Minister of State Health. Mrs. Awa Lawan, Minister of State Niger Delta Affairs. Kenneth Kubani, Minister of State Trade, Industry, Trade and Investment. Senator Joel Kane, Minister of Labor and Productivity. Senator Obanikoro, Minister of State Foreign Affairs 2.
The Federal Executive Council has approved the main report of the 2014 National Conference. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ayim Payosayim, disclosed this to State House correspondents after a meeting presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. He explained that the Federal Cabinet approved modalities to be adopted in implementing the report, but noted that resolutions requiring constitutional amendment and enactment of new laws would be forwarded to the National Assembly.
And I am pleased to know that he has actually hinted the fact that the National Conference report came to Council today. You will recall that barely 1 year ago, Mr. President inaugurated the conference. And at the end of their sittings, the conference came up with a report and submitted the report to Mr. President. You will also recall that the conference came up with modalities for implementing their resolutions and recommendations. And I think it's a high point of that effort. They not only came up with recommendations, they not only agreed on basic major resolutions, they also recommended to government on how to implement those recommendations and resolutions. Let me say that what happened in Council today was for the Council to approve that those modalities be adopted in implementing the report. And you know, when the report was submitted to Mr. President, he set up a committee under the chairmanship of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation. And the committee had looked at the report in its entirety. They've looked at the recommendations in its entirety. They've looked at the resolutions in its entirety. And they've advised Mr. President that they were implementable. And so you would have had the President severally promise Nigerians that he was going to implement the recommendations of the conference.
A former Chief of Defense Staff, Alani Akinriade, says the endorsement of President Goodluck Jonathan by the Yoruba Socio-Cultural Political Group, Afenifere, is wrong. He said while members of the organization might have their political leanings, it was wrong for some Yoruba leaders to use the platform to canvass for votes for a particular candidate. Akinriade, who was a Chief of Army Staff before becoming a CDS, said this at the meeting of the Yoruba Assembly in Ibadan. He said the Yoruba agenda brought before the National Conference failed. The general also faulted the pro-Jonathan Yoruba leaders who said that the implementation of the report would benefit the people. He noted that recommendations of the confab were below Yoruba's target and wondered why the leaders would base the endorsement on that. The general also faulted the pro-Jonathan Yoruba leaders who said the implementation of the report would benefit the people. He noted that the recommendations of the confab were below Yoruba's target and wondered why leaders would base their endorsement on that. He said the Ondo State Governor, Olusegun Mimiko, who has been holding several post-confab conferences, was only pushing the agenda of the People's Democratic Party. Akinriade wondered why Jonathan had not implemented at least one of the recommendations of the confab over 6 months after the conference was held, and yet the issue was being used to drum support for the president. The All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Organization has served notice of its intention to file a petition against President Goodluck Jonathan and the International Criminal Court. This comes few days after the ICC acknowledged receipt of a similar petition against the president's wife, Patience Jonathan. APC campaign team said in a statement signed by its spokesman Garba Shehu that the petition follows the terror unleashed on Lagos residents by those described as armed pro-Jonathan groups under the cover of a faction of the Oduas People's Congress. The presidential campaign spokesman claimed that the machete-wielding and gun-bearing individuals were chanting anti-Jega songs in a manner that showed that they were pushing a carefully prepared script to truncate the general elections. He also noted that investigations have shown that the situation was a dress rehearsal for the violence the group plans to unleash on Lagos and the Southwest on Election Day. Shehu claimed that the recent 9 billion naira pipeline surveillance contract to OPC and some militant groups in southern Nigeria was used to mobilize pro-Jonathan armed groups for the election. He also wondered why the presidency had been silent on the issue, as well as the bombing of the APC secretariat and the disruption of the party's campaign rally in Okrika in Rivers State, where the First Lady hails. The People's Democratic Party says the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Muhammadu Buhari, and the party's national leader, Bola Tinubu, are on a collision course over threats by the former head of state to prosecute the former Lagos State governor for corruption. It claims that Buhari has already issued an ultimatum to Tinubu to forfeit up to 50% of his property and money if he wins the March 28th elections. Spokesman for the PDP campaign council, Femi Fani-Kayode, said at a news conference in Abuja that the ultimatum has since caused a rift
Buhari
between
is
the
said
two
to be
APC
overwhelmed
leaders.
by the staggering allegations and compelling evidence that has been documented and exposed in the last few weeks about Tinubu and his closest associates. Our sources have revealed that General Buhari has resolved that in the event of his winning the presidential elections, he will issue an ultimatum to Bola Tinubu. The ultimatum will be that either Tinubu would forfeit and give up 50% of the money, property, and illicit gains that he has fleeced and garnered from Lagos State over the last 16 years, or he would face the full wrath of the law and be prosecuted for corruption. It is clear from this that all is not well in the APC's camp, and that their de facto leader, Bola Tinubu, and their presidential candidate, Muhammadu Buhari, are on a collision course. These two people and their party simply cannot be trusted with the future of Nigeria.
Renowned political economist Pat Utomi has urged Igbos and Nigerians at large to vote for the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari, whom he said would restore hope to Nigeria. Utomi, who is a founding member of the Indigbo Lagos group, said Igbos have been branded as people who sell their votes to the highest bidder. He said this during the unveiling of a pan-Igbo group, Igbo Kule, in Lagos. He therefore urged the people of the southeast to vote wisely in order to shed this reputation. While fielding questions from journalists at the event, he said Buhari's governance can be likened to what happened in the United States in 1981 when the Americans were unhappy with the Jimmy Carter administration. He also added that Nigerians don't have any alternative in the person of Muhammadu Buhari. It's the CoreTV Midday News. We'll take a break and return with more. Don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Many thanks for being there with us, and for more on CoreTV News, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, it's youtube.com/CoreTV, never space, then news. A federal high court in Abuja has declared Gambo Lawan as duly elected governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Borno State. Lawan had gone to court to challenge the party's decision to substitute his name with that of Mohammed Imam after the December 11, 2014 primaries. In a judgment, Justice Ahmed Mohammed faulted PDP's decision and granted all the relief sought by the plaintiff. The judge also held that the move contravenes the Electoral Act's guidelines for party primaries.
The court agreed with the case of Gambo Lawan that he actually won the primaries that was conducted by the party and that the party was in error. The party was wrong in law not to have forwarded his name to INEC. And in consequence of the proof of his case, the court has now ordered that his name be forwarded to INEC and the INEC recognize him as the candidate of the PDP for the 2015 governorship elections in Borno State.
We thank God that at least judiciary is the last hope of the common man. And I'm glad that today I've gotten justice. So I am now still the candidate and will be the candidate of PDP for 2015 Borno State governorship election.
Inspector General of Police Suleiman Abbas threatened to arrest and prosecute anyone who tries to disrupt the forthcoming general elections. He issued the warning in Abuja while addressing command commissioners of police on election preparation. Abbas also reaffirmed the police readiness to ensure adequate security before, during and after the elections.
Of yesterday night, I heard that.
Thank you very much. Make no mistake about it.
Anyone who tries or attempts to disrupt the national elections will be arrested and will be prosecuted. And these attempts can be outside the polling units, can be around the polling units, can be around the collation centers, can even be after the declaration of the results. Whoever wants to take the law into his own hands should have a rethink. And the law enforcement and the security agencies are together in this regard. If INEC makes the decision that there will be one agent for each political party at each polling unit, any other person who acts as agent is committing an offense and will arrest him. Because it is very clear under Section 129. If you cannot behave yourself well at a polling unit, which is a radius of 30 meters, if you cannot behave yourself well, then you should better leave. If you try to intimidate anyone, it's an offense. If you solicit for vote, it's an offense. If you carry any weapon, it's an offense. The offenses are so many. I will even advise my enemy to stay clear. Because if you stay there, yes, keep your cool, but there are many temptations.
The United States says it is working to deliver polling assistance to Nigeria to the tune of $60 million. This is part of support for the successful conduct of the 2015 general elections, which the UN insists all actors have agreed to play by the rules. The UN Under Secretary General Jeffrey Feltman also urged the leading candidates to resolve all disputes through appropriate legal means. He spoke at a news conference at the end of a two-day visit to Nigeria alongside the UN Special Envoy Mohammed Ibn Chambers.
Our assistance is designed to support Nigerian officials, Nigerian institutions. These are Nigerian elections where Nigerian voters will be expressing their views through the ballot box, and we are simply a supportive actor to try to help make these as credible and transparent as possible. But we are deeply involved at the request of Nigerian officials.
And our expectation is that, especially when the results are announced, Nigerians will see that these elections were better conducted than the 2011 elections, and that all will accept the free will of the Nigerian people as expressed through their vote.
The federal government has placed 44 children displaced from Chibok community into unity colleges across the country. Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala disclosed this at a meeting with the representative of the community in Abuja. She also maintains that a Safe School initiative is a human capital development project and not a political issue. But members of the Chibok community again insisted that their priority is the return of the girls.
There's so many people thinking about you in Chibok and willing to support you. And I think that you will see that as things, the security improves, I'm sure that there'll be a lot of support to do and develop things. Of course, you know, we must coordinate. Those who are also willing to come and help Chibok should do so under sort of a guideline of what the community wants and what the government also is willing to support. I'd like to reiterate to you that there's a presidential initiative for the Northeast called PINE, which is under the Office of the National Security Advisor. And they have longer term plans. These things you're talking about, roads and water and so on, under that initiative, that's the intention of that initiative, to try and strengthen the Northeast of the country and try and lay down the infrastructure that is not there. And it's a presidential initiative directly from the president through the Office of the National Security Advisor. So some of these things that you're asking for will come through that initiative.
We need the reconstruction of this project. Madam, sincerely, I want to tell you that we who at home welcome the development and all forms of project that will come to Chibok. We welcome it wholeheartedly.
We'll take another break on CoreTV Midday News, and we'll be back with a story from outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Thank you for being there. A gunman who carried out an attack that killed 17 terrorists at Tunisia's Bardo Museum was known to the authorities, Tunisia's Prime Minister has said. Habib Essi says the security services had flagged up one of the attackers, Yassin Labidi, but were not aware of anything specific or of any links to known militant groups. 2 Tunisians, a police officer among them, also died in Wednesday's attack. Both gunmen were also killed, but a search is on for suspects linked to them. 2 or 3 accomplices are still at large, an Interior Ministry spokesman said. He said both attackers were probably Tunisians. The second gunman has been named as Hatem Kachauni. The terrorists killed in the attack include visitors from Japan, Italy, Colombia, Australia, France, Poland and Spain, officials said. Officials say more than 40 people, including tourists and Tunisians, were injured. Speaking after the attack, Tunisia's President Beji Caid Essebsi said the country was in a war with terror. At the time of the attack, deputies in the neighboring parliamentary building were discussing anti-terrorism legislation. Parliament was evacuated but later reconvened for an extraordinary session in the evening. Sayyida Ousnisi, an MP, said that the security services had said Parliament was the original target of the attack. The gunmen went to the museum after they were blocked before entering Parliament, she said. Many Tunisians took to the streets of central Tunis to protest against the attack, waving flags and lighting candles outside the museum. And with that, we wrap up the CoreTV Midday News. Join us again, top of the hour for more. Thank you for watching. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle.